Offbeat Intros is a section of the show devoted to learning more about the artist. The YouTube channel is to promote the show. If you'd like to hear full songs, please use one of the links in the video description to listen to the full show.
This is Offbeat.
This is Offbeat.
Ever promoting seasoned artists or brand new acts, the Offbeat Reggae Radio Show is trying to shine the light on talent from all over the world. Today, it shines a little closer to home for me as our guest calls from only a few hours up the road. The bio in their Bandcamp page is short and sweet. Brass, global rhythms and sci-fi from Leeds, UK. I have Sam Thornton on the phone, who has recently been working on an exciting new project, Intergalactic Brasstronauts. Sam, how's it going?
Hello, very good, thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's great to have you along. I really appreciated you sending over your album, actually. 18 tracks long and an absolute blast. I really, really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much, thank you. It's been fun to make.
It very much sounds it. It very, very much sounds it. Now, for those people that haven't heard of the Intergalactic Brasstronauts before, they may have heard of your previous guys, shall we say, and I wondered if you could, from a musical point of view, catch us up to date. Sure.
So I've been releasing music, composing and producing music under the name King Zepha for the last 7 or 8 years. It started off as a studio project. We've toured it a little bit with a 5-piece band, and that kind of ran its course just before the lockdown period happened. So having that time off made me just start thinking outside the box a little bit and thinking of all the things I'd like to do when things get back to normal. Intergalactic Brasstronauts is a product of that, really.
As far as King Zepha's concerned, because obviously that's going to be taking up a large portion of your time over the past decade, what have you achieved from a musical standpoint as King Zepha to then push yourself through to Intergalactic Brasstronauts, just from a kudos point of view, so that people can know that you are a talented and seasoned musician, I suppose?
Well, some of the highlights have been supporting the Scatterlights on a couple of tour dates.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, that was fantastic. It was great to see, a couple of legendary members who still play with them, and the new guys who are pretty much jazz players from the States, and I'm a big fan of jazz, so it was great to hear them do their thing. And other things we've done, we've toured a lot. We've seen some nice parts of this country, and we've seen some nice parts of Europe, played at some festivals, some of the bigger ones like Boomtown Fair, and lots of smaller, more intimate ones as well. But yeah, it's been a real fun time, and it just kind of naturally ground to a halt, really, as the guys who played in the rhythm section started getting busy with other bands. It kind of petered out really naturally, which prepared me nicely for this lockdown period.
It's nice that it petered out. Well, it's not nice that it petered out, but I'm going towards a musical standpoint. So I've spoken to bands before where things have gone south because one of them had a baby and the other one moved out of the country and another one got a job as a milkman or something.
Definitely. We're all still friends and we're all still playing in other bands together as well. So yeah, it's definitely not like the Eagles where we were, travelling to gigs on different planes and so on.
So the Intergalactic Brasstronauts, is that just yourself or is it other people involved? How does it work?
No, it's a huge lineup. When we take it out on the road, there's going to be 12 of us.
Oh, nice.
So it's a brass band, basically. 2 of everything, 2 trumpets, 2 trombones, 2 saxes. We've got 2 bass instruments, one of which is a sousaphone, a bit like a tuba, and the other one is a contrabass clarinet, a real unusual instrument, which I'd not even heard until recently when I recorded one. And then a drummer, and we've got a guitarist and some electronic things as well. And we've got various different singers who are going to work with us. So it's just going to be really exciting to get it out on the road because we've not managed to do that yet. We've got a few things booked in.
Ah, yes, and we will cover that very shortly. I reckon that's enough chat for now as we look towards your first track. We decided the first song that you wanted to play was rather short, that we'd play one straight into the other, because it kind of works. So would you like to introduce them?
Yes, okay, so this is a track called Dub Fart, going into a track called Alibaba. And as you mentioned, it's continuous. The whole album is in fact continuous, so you can listen to it from start to finish for an hour. But this is 2 of the tracks from the new album, which is called Music for the People, and it's coming out on the 16th of July.
Intergalactic Brasstronauts.
So still on the phone with Sam Thornton of Intergalactic Brasstronauts. We just heard Dub Fart, which he apologised to me for, and you just don't have to, sir, it's fine. It's the name of the song. What else can we call it? And it went straight into Alibaba as well. It is from the brand new album, and it's what you would like to push at this present time. You've mentioned already that every song just leads straight into the next one. Is there anything else that's worth mentioning about your upcoming release?
Yes, I mentioned already it's coming out on the 16th of July. And we were lucky enough to have support from the Arts Council of England, one of their National Lottery project grants, to produce this album. It's going to be coming out on digital formats first, to all the usuals, Spotify and Amazon and iTunes and the like. And there is also talk of it being, these two tracks in particular, that you've just heard, being released on vinyl as a 7-inch single. But I'm not at liberty to discuss that yet because I don't think it's officially been announced. So that'll be coming out soon. So it'll be out on all digital formats first, the album, and we'll be taking it out on the road as soon as we possibly can.
Lovely. So as far as vinyl's concerned then, get excited about it, but not too much, and I didn't tell you.
It's coming. It's just not been announced yet, basically, and I don't want to be the first to do that.
Well, you've given me an advance copy of the album, and as I said, I very, very much enjoyed it. Music for the People has been a complete joy to listen to. I think it's brilliant, and everyone should go and grab a copy as and when they can. You will be promoting this as part of a gig. What? He says, a gig, which is coming up soon. Tell us about that. So
we've got a real gig in front of real people on the 1st of July in Doncaster. For those of you who are lucky enough to live near the A1, have a drive up or drive down to Doncaster. And as far as I'm aware, it's not a ticketed event either. So it's kind of get there early to avoid disappointment. Yes. You're able to. We're playing with a young band called the Doncaster Youth Jazz Orchestra, Dijo, and they're departing from their usual jazz repertoire, and they've been looking at songs from the sort of ska songbook, old Jamaican songs, and they'll be playing a full set of ska, I believe. Then there's our hour-long continuous set, which will be a mixture of dub and reggae-influenced stuff, bit of jazz in there. Yeah, and as I say, it's a big brassy band, so it's quite a spectacle to see as well as hear. Fantastic. It sounds like it's going to be a really cool night. I hope I'm going to cross fingers and toes that everything goes the way that it should to allow the night to continue. Me too, but I think the gig is actually happening outside, so whatever happens, hopefully we'll be all right. Oh, nice. Well, in which case then, cross fingers and toes the weather's with you. Northern weather. Yeah, it's a bit temperamental, I'll tell you that. Okay, we're going to get another one of your tracks on now, and you wanted to give a slightly different feel. Tell us about that. Yeah, so this is an instrumental dubby track with a bit of jazz flavour as well. It's one that we used to gig live with the King Zepha band, but I don't think it ever made it onto an album. Certainly not in this way, anyway. The best thing about this song is the contrabass clarinet that I mentioned briefly earlier. Just one of those beefy instruments that you never hear, and it really works well with the dub thing. This is Intergalactic Brasstronaughts with Dub in a House of Love. So usually I only play the two tunes, but obviously with the first lot, because they were a little bit on the short side, this would be the third song that we've heard from the Intergalactic Brasstronaughts, Dub in a House of Love. Is there any meaning to that? Anything that made you push forward to write the music? Anything that comes to mind? The name in particular, Dub in a House of Love, is literally because we recorded it in the drummer's house, and his name is Joe Love. So it is literally Dub in a House of Love. Right, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So let's look towards the other things that you'd like to push. You mentioned that you have plans to take over YouTube. To take over YouTube, yeah. I've basically been releasing a video every Friday, and that's going to continue until the 16th of July when the album comes out. And the story behind our YouTube channel is that we are an alien race that's just arrived on planet Earth, and there is no sign of any life. So yeah, we're living in a sort of a different reality here. But basically we've discovered a bunker full of human artifacts, which turn out to be instruments and recordings. So this band is basically trying to recreate human music through a few recordings and videos and instruments that they've managed to find. So that's kind of like the backstory behind the band. I've been getting my kids to help me out through the lockdown period, a bit of extra homeschooling, getting them to help me out with the video editing and dressing them up as lizards, things like that. So it's been a bit of fun, really. Yeah, that sounds brilliant. Stops them from getting bored, I suppose. Sure, and it just helps give the band a bit of a different angle, really, something that people remember as by the bit of the sci-fi backstory. Makes you stand out from the crowd. Because there are lots of brass bands up here, up north. Right, yes. Anything that you can do to shine is even better. Mind you, the music does it for itself as far as I'm concerned, but I must be careful, though, because otherwise it sounds like I'm crawling up your backside, and I'm really not. Cool. So, let's talk about the influences that got you where you are, and maybe shaped a bit of your music too. We
came to the decision of one specific track, which you can lead into when you are ready, but you specifically wanted to talk about how difficult the choice was.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I've got a real mixed bag of musical taste, in a sense that I was brought up listening to jazz and playing in youth big bands, so I'll always have that kind of love for jazz music and improvised music. But then as a sort of child and teenager, I enjoyed hearing reggae-influenced music that was out in the charts at the time. So my earliest reggae-influenced music I can remember listening to was the two-tone movement, really. Things like The Specials, and a track that stood out for me there was Ghost Town, which I know you've played on this show before. I also heard lots of that sort of 90s pop reggae that charted. Bands like Aswad were influential on me. So there's lots of stuff I could have chosen. But the stuff that really grabbed me, in my 20s, I guess I discovered it, first of all, was the stuff that crossed over, the reggae and dub that crossed over with jazz. That really excited me as being a jazz fan already, and somebody who enjoys reggae and dub. When I first heard the Scatterlights, and when I first heard Tommy McCook and the Aggravators and bands like that, and also the guitarist Ernest Ranglin, who was a member of the Scatterlights before he moved over to the UK, I heard his album Beyond the Baseline, and I mean, I could have chosen any track off that album, to be fair. They're all great, but as I say, I just loved the mixture of jazz and improvised music with that Caribbean sounding rhythm. It really did it for me.
So playing next on the Offbeat Reggae Radio Show is the influence for Sam of the Intergalactic Brasstronauts, Sata Masagana by Ernest Ranglin. It is the Offbeat Reggae Radio Show. My name's Andy. I am still on the phone to Sam Thornton, who is also known as part of the Intergalactic Brasstronauts. We have heard a few of their tunes and tried to push it as much as possible. What we're interested in finding out, though, is how people find out that little bit more about you. Where do they need to go to find out more about the Intergalactic Brasstronauts?
If you like the sci-fi world and you want to follow the fictional story of the band and the world we've created, the best place to head is to our YouTube channel, which is tinyurl.com/Brasstronauts. Otherwise, if you want to follow us in the real world, we've got the usual Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And I think we're at Intergalactic Brasstronauts on all of those, except Twitter, where the name's a bit too long. And on Twitter, we're IG Brasstronauts. We're updating all those pages regularly and trying to keep in touch with everyone that way. So, yeah, check us out.
And as a featured artist on the show, you will also get your own page on the Offbeat Reggae Radio website. So any information that you would be happy to send across to me, I'll make sure that it gets put up on the page, along with any photos that you want to share as well. And as and when the album is released, I'll grab an audio player off of Apple so that people can hear some 30-second clips of each of the songs as well to get more of a feeling for the album before they buy.
That's really good of you. Thank you.
No worries, man. Just send the stuff across and I'll make sure that it's published.
Excellent.
Do share anything further with the Intergalactic Brasstronauts or anything else that you're working on with the show. I'd very much like to hear it.
Cheers now. Thank you.
All the best, mate. You take care.